You know, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. But if you could, please hit the thumbs up and like and subscribe the channel. And do yourself a favor, don't Google upon Google upon Google trying to find something to read or page into Goodreads. D. Louise book series, If Then. Type it out in the search block. You're looking for vampires, werewolves, forensics. We're going to do another forensics. I found some new ones. Homicides, detectives, regencies, witches, Scotland Yard. Hey, are you ready for some football? Check that one out. I just remembered that one the other day. Someone was talking about football and I had to put the link up. It's been a while since I did that. But anyways, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I will continue with this series. I just dropped it. I do have the other ones, but I'm not sure. I think you're going to see this in the next few days. We're going to do this one. I think that's the first in the next series. But there are so many. One thing that bothered me, really bothered me, was the fact that, and this is a first, this hasn't happened in a really long time, and it frightened me for a couple of seconds. But then I was like, I looked at the bookshelves, I'm like, okay. I always say, if you read a book and you put it down, if you can tell me what that book was about, that was a good book. If you read a book and you put it down and you're like, that was a bad book. I've always said that. And yesterday, I was reading this book a couple days ago, and I had some events take place. So I was more than 50% through the book, and I had some events and stuff that took place. And so the book was down for almost 24 hours. And I went to pick it up, and I went, what's this about again? And it took a couple paragraphs for the light bulb to go off. And it really frightened me for a minute. But then I'm sitting there looking at my shelves, and I knew all the ones on the shelves. So like, that was a scary moment. That's why I'm not sure I'm going to be continuing this. If I don't remember these from moment to moment, that's really saying something here. But there's another issue with this book. So we have Maddie, who was a former nurse who's now working as an assistant coroner. And she's working with Izzy, the coroner. And then we have Dr. David Winston, her husband, who she has moved out because he has been seeing another woman. And she's afraid to go back and get her clothes. She's afraid to go back into this. She's afraid back to that. She's living in the guest house of a friend of hers, and she doesn't have any stuff. And she found a kitten in the dumpster. Good! Bad! She named it Rubbish. Who in the world names a cat Rubbish? Wait a second. Who in the world names their baby Rubbish? How about Ruby? But Rubbish? How cruel is that? How horrible is that? Oh, stop. Sorry. She named the cat Rubbish. So, and then we have Karen Ownby. She's the woman that the husband's having the affair with. And Desiree is the sister. And Ethan and Eric are Desiree's kids. And then we have Detective Steve Hurley, who's homicide. And Steve has got a thing with Allison, the newspaper reporter, but he's trying to kissy face Maddie. And I don't like his two-facedness. I don't. We have Allison Hurley is the reporter and photographer for local newspaper. I just said it. Nancy Boland is director of nursing. Gina Carrigan is wife of Sidney Carrigan, one of the surgeons at Mercy Hospital. We have Celia Watson, secretary of Nancy's. We have Phyllis Malone. She's a nurse in the ER. We have Arnie Topher. He's an evidence tech. We have Glenda is David's secretary. Colleen is his nurse in his private practice. Cass Ziegler is the morgue secretary. Joey Dewhurst is a computer tech. Heidi Crone is the evening dispatcher. And then there's another one during the day that Maddie is getting to know. And then we have Brian Childs is a police officer. Jonathan Feller is a police officer. And Arthur and Lauren Henley and Ruth are married, and he's having an affair with this lady named Ruth. And the first couple of chapters are an overview of what's going on in her life the past couple months and what's going on, but like bringing you up to date. Even though this is the first book, and I had that problem with Westminster, but this was a little more easier. It made a little more sense. I didn't feel like I was walking into the middle of a case like I am with the Westminster thing, and that's why I took all those back. So she sees her husband have he's her husband because they haven't divorced yet. He sees her husband have an argument with this lady Karen, and she runs. All right, let me start from the beginning. She piles up a wheelbarrow and climbs on top of it and peeks in the window and witnesses her husband and this lady Karen have a fight. Later on, this lady Karen, she leaves the house. She sees her leave, still alive. Ends up dead. And David, her husband, becomes the prime suspect. And he's got a lot of things in his closet that would make him a suspect. But this lady Karen, turns out that's not her real name. She was using an assumed identity, and that's a whole nother storyline there. And, there was a point. So, that kind of bothered me, all this stuff with, her not going into the house and not using the accounts, and that was, I don't know, that kind of bothered me. That was a little weird. But and then this lady, like I said, Karen's got this past, and there's all this other stuff in the background going on. I'm trying to remember now. There was a point I wanted to make, and now I can't remember. So she gets killed, and her husband becomes the prime suspect. So Maddie learns that her husband was cheating, but she also learns there's a couple other doctors at the hospital who are also cheating on their wives. And then she learns about this private organization that all the doctors have been funding, maybe, or trying to get into. So she investigates that aspect, and someone else gets killed. And then there were some more revelations about her husband. So most of the book, the husband is in the hot seat a couple of times, like the fingers pointing at him. The whodunit comes out of left field, and you don't see it coming. You just don't. It's just a big twisty turny. It's a big surprise. The whole book, it's like focused on her husband. But there was a lot of stuff there that I didn't like. The Detective Hurley stuff with him, possibly with Allison. And I want to know what he's been doing with Allison, if he's going to go after Maddie, what's going to go on there. I want to know about her divorce from her husband. When are they going to get it finalized? Is she brave enough to get it finalized? I don't understand what her... Is she afraid of her husband? Is that why she doesn't want to go back there? I'm not sure what's going on there. But there were so many characters. There were so many characters to keep track of. and her mother's the sick of the diseases of the month club. She's a hypochondriac, and every time she reads about something, she's got that disease. So that was, I mean, I really didn't pay too much attention to her mother because, like, her mother just came and went in a couple of chapters, and that was the end of it. We had enough other people uh to pay attention to, and she follows the detective track, and it ends up, it's interesting, but quite a few revelations about her husband in the book and what he's been doing on the side. And quite a few people in the book have secrets they want to keep secret, but several people end up dying, and Maddie's life comes in danger a couple times. The big reveal is shocking. You never saw this person coming. The author never even hinted that this person was the real killer at all. So you can check it out. I'm not sure if I'm invested enough for these. I think I'm gonna give I want to take a look at this. I want to take a look at these. So we'll have to see what happens if Maddie can solve her crimes or not. But she's working as a coroner, so she's earning a living. So it's going to be a good living. They make quite a bit of money, so we'll see what happens. But so check it out, The Working Stiff. Let me know what you think. Have a good one.